Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to track 3 once again. So before we just introduce our guest speaker, just a few housekeeping. So I think firstly, we're supposed to have the session for 45 minutes. Hopefully we'll be able to do that, but I think we'll just compress it a bit to maybe 40 minutes or 35 minutes. So the speaker will present and will finish her presentation, but we'll only allow for maybe 1 or 2 questions because we've got a panel in the main plenary that's going to start at exactly 3:15. So hopefully we need to all be there by 3:15. All right, so without any further ado, so I'll introduce our guest speaker for the day. So we've got Zanele Maduna, who is the CEO of Novalo, who is presenting on the topic, the top skills and competencies for future-focused internal auditors. Zanele is an accomplished chartered accountant and certified executive and management coach, leveraging a diverse professional background encompassing academia as well as extensive international and local corporate experience. Currently, she holds the position of chair of the Social and Ethics Committee at one of the world's leading manufacturers of pumps and valves and serves as a director. Zanele is also actively engaged as a SAICA Val Region Committee member and YCAN representative, contributing regularly to Accountancy SA magazine. Previously, she held the esteemed role of SAICA Val Region Vice President. In her capacity as a CEO of Novalo, Zanele leads the delivery of comprehensive personal and professional development resources to thousands of students and professionals, ensuring their resilience and adaptability in an evolving global landscape. Her exceptional contribution in this realm has earned her recognition of esteemed media platforms such as CNN, Inside Africa, and ENCA. Zanele's achievements were further underscored by her inclusion as a 2021 Mail and Guardian Young South African Top 200 honoree. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Zanele.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Is everyone feeling good? I was so excited to be talking about the topic today, and the main reason why I was very excited is mainly because this is a topic that literally each and every day I always think about. And the reason why I'm always thinking about this topic and I'm very excited to discuss it is because at Novalo Learning Center, my job is literally one thing. It's all about how am I ensuring that when it comes to the young professionals that we are working with and the students that we are working with, how do I ensure that they are ready for the future? That's my sole responsibility at Novalo, mainly because we are an accredited skills development provider that's specializing in study skills and work readiness, and that's what we do each and every day. So that's my job, and I'm excited to dive into this topic with you, mainly because of the fact that whether we like it or not, what we know for sure is that the only thing that is constant is change, right? So since the only thing that is constant is change, then as and when we are looking in this topic and we are looking at, okay, how do we develop these skills and competencies so that we can be future-focused professionals, but how do we do so ensuring that we still know that change is there? And it's not going to move. That's the only thing that is constant. So through our journey today, we will mainly be looking at, unpacking that topic and actually just having that at the back of our mind that, you know what, in as much as we are unpacking this topic, but how are we ensuring that as and when we are discussing these skills and competencies, we know for sure we are still ready for whichever change that will come. So I just wanted to get a sense. I know we started a bit early, but I see other people are still working in, but I want to get a sense of who is in the room. So by show of hands, who has more than 10 years working experience at this point? Oh, okay. It's quite a lot. This is good. Okay. And then by show of hands, who still has less than 5 years working experience at this point? Okay, it's quite a few. It's quite a few. That's good because now I know that I'm talking to people who have been thinking about these skills and competencies within their career. So, when it comes to what does success really look like at the end of our journey within this 45 minutes that's now cut into 40, how success will look like, team, is really more about me sharing the insights that we are getting because we do get the privilege to work with thousands of students, thousands of young professionals, and tens of thousands of professionals as well. So during this time, it's really more about me sharing insights on what we are seeing, especially when it comes to the skills and the competencies and what we have to really think about if we want to be future focused as well. And after this and later on, I am really looking forward to also hearing on some of the insights that you have on this topic as well. So colleagues, let's get into the topic itself. The top skills and competencies for future focused professionals. I said professionals mainly because at Novalo, we do work with internal auditors, we do work with all the other streams as well, the STEM candidates across the board. So that's why I want to keep it with professionals because this applies for everyone. So in our journey, in us unpacking this topic and really walking away with some of the insights to consider, I would like us to look into the fact that within our topic, yes, we are talking about the identity of being a future-focused professional, but then also we're talking about, yes, the skills themselves, but then as a point of departure and in us really structuring ourselves for our discussion, I would like us to package our discussions into 3 buckets. So when we are starting now, I want us to start by talking about the why. Why is this relevant? Why are we sitting here at 2:30 on a Tuesday or Wednesday, really talking about future-focused skills and competencies, right? So that's going to be our point of departure. We'll talk about the why. And then once we have spoken about the why, we'll then head over to the who, because we are talking about being future-focused professionals. And then we'll say, okay, it's good to look into the future and to be ready for the future. But what are some of the blind spots that we can already start considering at the moment? And then once we are done with the section 2 of our presentation, then we'll then head over and then say, what are these skills and competencies that we should really be caring about now? And what can we do about them? Right, team? So these are the 3 sections of our presentation for today. Starting with the why, I do believe it's very important for us before we dive into anything to really know why are we doing it. And at Novalo, we have a strong sense of why. At Novalo Learning Center, our why is to break the cycle of poverty through education, training, as well as coaching. So for us, when we are looking at future-focused professionals and we are looking at top skills and competencies, it's not about the training material and sending the facilitator to the class and then they come back and they say, I have a register. For us, it goes beyond that. Because we look into, okay, yes, there are skills being imparted, there are certain competencies there, but how do we ensure that the person on the other side is given hope and definitely they can take the next steps after that training? And just to tell you a little story, a month ago, we were working with one of the facilitators, and she was presenting our work readiness module. And after she got the material and she got access to the e-learning platform, she came to me and she said, Zanele, I've been facilitating for more than 20 years, but I have never seen the material that has such depth and it's so practical, and I know for sure that when I leave the classroom, the candidates would be equipped. And the reason why we are there at Novalo Learning Center at this current moment is mainly because of the fact that when we are looking at the skills, this is where we are saying, how do we ensure that the person who is in the classroom, who is in the workshop, they actually leave with something that they can implement and they can take with them for the future. So, in so saying, our why in relation to all of this at Novalo, in relation to this topic that we are talking about today, that literally gives me sleepless nights. Our why here has to do with the relevance in the changing world. It's all about how are we equipping the students, the young professionals, the professionals, so that they are always relevant in the changing world. And for us, what does relevance really look like? What relevance looks like for us, it's about giving hope, right? Because I told you about our why around breaking the cycle of poverty. So for us, that relevance of always being relevant in the changing world, for us it means that when someone is training and they're getting all of these skills, they know that, I'm getting closer to being the type of person that I want to be, and actually I'm even getting closer to even changing the lives of the ones that are following me. So, colleagues, why does this matter for you? Right? Because yes, I've told you about my nice story and why I'm so excited to go to work every day. But why does this matter, especially in relation to the topic that we are having today? This matters because as a professional, we've seen what happened with the pandemic. We don't know what's going to happen within the next 2 years. We don't know what's going to happen within the next 5 years or even 20 years. Yes, there are reports. Yes, there are surveys. There are a lot of things that we are predicting. But then at the same time, we don't want to be in a position whereby we are reading all of these reports, we are exposed to everything else, and now we are in a state of panic, and now we want to collect every certificate from every short course, right? So when we are talking about the top skills and competencies that we should be looking at as we are looking at the future, it's not only about collecting the certificates and sometimes coming here for CPD, but rather it's always important for us to dial it back and say, what is my why for all of this? Why did I even choose to become an internal auditor? And in me being an internal auditor and being aware of all of these changes that are unfolding, how can I best position myself for the future? So it's not necessarily about, my employer is paying for this, so therefore I'm going to do it. But rather, it's about the fact that within my why and the reason why I'm an internal auditor, this is the type of skill set, the type of competencies I would love to develop, right? And if there's anything I love about internal audit, is the fact that, internal auditors talk about how they add value, of which I love, because I spend so much of my time as an external auditor. And yeah, I was like the police. I saw yesterday Anthony was talking about being the police, but as for internal auditors, it's more about value other than anything else. So I love the fact that with this profession, already from the foundation, there's this element of adding value. So today I'm challenging you as I'm sharing my insights. Stop and think about your why in everything, right? So yes, colleagues, that was our first part of this topic where we are leaving it with, we really have to define the why. The second part is the one where I said, yes, we are becoming future-focused professionals, future-focused internal auditors, and it is an identity. Would you agree? It's an identity, right? You have to take a certain posture where you say, in order for me to be regarded as a future-focused internal auditor, this is the type of posture I should be taking. So in that, this is where I'm saying, because we do work with a lot of professionals, we do work with a lot of students and young professionals as well, it comes with a lot of blind spots. So as part of our presentation, we are going to look into what are some of those blind spots that perhaps you might not be looking at now. And hopefully, as I'm sharing these insights, it will give you something to really think about. And as I did mention, we have the pleasure of working with students, the varsity graduates, but whether students, varsity graduates or young professionals, or even you with over 10 years of work experience, we all have the common thing where when you think about the future, we are thinking about the grass being greener on the other side, right? We are thinking, ooh, if I get another certificate, if I study further, I'm going to get more money, right? And who doesn't love money? I mean, like, we're not gonna act like we don't. But then at the same time, team, in as much as yes, we love money, we are focusing on the future, and at the same time, we are human beings. And because we are human beings, and I'm also a certified coach, I wouldn't have added value if I don't talk about this point. So the point that I'm trying to head over to now is that, yes, we are focused on the future, but then as human beings, we have this whole thing called time, and we are always dealing with the past, the present, and the future. And what I would like you to start thinking about as we are talking about this is that as human beings, and I'm sure you know, especially with the people who even have more than 10 years work experience as well, we've all made decisions at a certain point, right? So you might have been in a position whereby you say, oh, varsity, maybe I shouldn't have chosen internal audit. Maybe I should have chosen data science. Or maybe 2 years ago I should have registered for my MBA. Or maybe 2 years ago I should have changed to something else. So as human beings, inherently, that will always be present, where we are always thinking, the past self, there's something that we can blame the past self on, especially when it comes to our continuing professional development. And then, most of the times, what I've seen is that when it comes to our future self, because we are in a position whereby we are blaming the past self, then we say, you know what? The Zanele 4 years ago didn't do this, but the Zanele in 5 years' time, oh my goodness, she's going to be a star. She's going to enroll for this. She's going to go for these short courses. She's going to read one book a day, right? So what I want to highlight here is that it's highly probable that, after this discussion and we've spoken about all of these skills, you can get into a position whereby you are thinking, oh my goodness, I want to do it all. But it's worth really noting that sometimes it's not really worth looking into over-relying on your future self. Because what usually happens is that if we over-rely on our future self, then we get to a point whereby our current self, which is the self we have now, we end up whereby our current self is inactive because we are overwhelmed. We are thinking, oh my goodness, Zanele said I need 25 skills, but in 2 years' time or else I'm not going to secure my job. Or we get to a point whereby we have flighting tendencies, right? Because it is overwhelming, and because it is overwhelming, so this is where we procrastinate more. We've been saying, oh, we are going to sign up for that course, but no, not now, maybe next year, plus 2024 is almost done, right? Or we get to a point whereby, we wanted to dedicate certain times doing certain things so that we can earn certain other competencies. But then instead of us dedicating that time to those particular tasks, we end up just spending more time either with friends and everything else, of which is a good thing. But then sometimes, obviously, when we have certain goals, they can be overwhelming, and then we end up flighting instead of taking them head on. So, colleagues, what I'm trying to get to here is that we do need to get to a point whereby we are fighting for the competencies and the skills that we want. But then obviously it's not a fight as though, oh my goodness, I have to study every day or else, I'm going to die and they're going to take my job. No. We have to be in that focused state where we can comfortably plan out everything. If we want to take the short courses, if we want to do certain things, we can comfortably, slowly do it without thinking, oh my goodness, the future is around the corner, so therefore I can't do anything else, right? So that's just something that I really just wanted you to get to thinking about. So as we are finishing this second section of our presentation, that's what I want to leave you with, right? I want you to think about these insights I've shared because I've seen it with the professionals that we work with, where, for example, currently in the cohort that we have, I have about 2 students where they just started their CA training, and one is actually 56 years old, right? And as you can imagine, the type of conversations that come out of that, where that type of person is thinking, oh, I wasted my life. Will I ever catch up? What if I'm done with training and no one wants to hire me? All of these things. And I also have people who have passed their degrees and diplomas and everything in record time, and they're thinking, I have time, and the person, me 5 years later will take my studies or my competencies or everything else seriously when I get there. So they over-rely on that one. So let's start thinking about what are some of the traps as you are looking in the future that maybe are there, and maybe you are not thinking about it up until you came to this amazing conference. I see that's the time, but it's not clear. Maybe it's because I'm colorblind. Maybe is it like 5 minutes? Okay, I don't see it properly, but you'll tell me. But I'm almost done. Okay, perfect. 15 more minutes left. Okay, team, which is good because we do have enough time to go through this last part of our presentation then. So as part of our last part of our presentation, this is when we say, okay, we've covered the fact that the why is the most important thing. Because without the why, we don't even know where to start with almost everything. And then we went into the second part where we said how we identify matters, but then at the same time, let's look into some of the blind spots, especially when it comes to our, the skills and the competencies we want. And for everyone else who is a parent, a teacher, a mentor, also, I would love you to, maybe later on we'll have a discussion where I can get your insights on how are you approaching this when it comes to your kids and how they're thinking about these as well, right? And how are you guiding them when it comes to that why, as well as the type of identity they are taking. Are you maybe nudging them to being lifelong learners and also the other things? So now as we are heading into this last one, we are saying, Zanele, you've been talking about the top skills and competencies. What are they? Because this is why I'm here, right? I think most of you're thinking my notes need the top skills and the competencies. So when it comes to going back into the classroom and looking at what are these top skills and competencies that we've seen work as part of the work that we do at Novalo, on a level of young professional students as well as for the professionals. As I did mention at the beginning, that what keeps me up at night is the fact that I'm looking at the students that we have, the young professionals that we have, how will they be the future focused professionals? And the journey that they are working with us, and even the young people that are being born literally now as we are speaking, later on, when they're joining a Novalo program after 20 years, are we really going through this in such a manner that it's really, really helping them to become who they need to be? So our starting point when it comes to these competencies and these skills at Novalo, we look into who is employing our students, who is employing our young professionals, who is giving opportunities to the people who are in the middle of their careers and they are looking to even changing, right? And the common theme around all of that, colleagues, is the fact that whether you're an employer or the other person who's out there with an opportunity, and I'm sure for the employers that are here and managers, you can agree. The key things that matter here is the candidate that is coming into my workplace. What is their mindset? Because I hear so many employers saying, I need proactive candidates. Every time they always say, Zanele, do you know the young talent that will get it, man? From first day, they just have to get it, right? So it starts with mindset. That's what the employer, that's what the other opportunity is looking for. Secondly, we can't shy away from the fact that it is work, it is a trade, so it's all about what can the talent offer. So we can't shy away from the fact that this is a trade. So as an internal auditor, this is where we go back to that whole thing that I love the fact that you pride yourself in adding value because you have something to offer. And then last but not least, it's definitely about, will this candidate that is coming into my environment show up and be able to bounce back when the challenges hit. And team, I'm sure you've seen it, especially with everyone who's been studying during COVID. It's rough. I was in a meeting during the week with one of the head of schools at one of the universities, and she was telling me that this week one of the students literally, like, he unalived himself in his room. Why? Because we are struggling with resilience, right? So this is one of the things that obviously is becoming very important. So how we have our framework across our study skills course, work readiness course, and continuing professional development for the young professionals, how we structure it at Novalo is that we are in a position whereby we say every young professional, every candidate that join us, by the time they leave our program, they should have answered these questions for themselves. Number one, they should have gotten the skills that help them lead themselves. Number two, they should be able to know how to manage their work regardless of the shifting work environment. And last but definitely not least, they should know how to relate and work with other people, right? So when it comes to how are we answering this call of employers and the opportunity on the other side, saying we want candidates, we want professionals that know how to lead themselves. How we are answering that, we say in order for you to be able to lead yourself, the top skills and competencies that we should really be looking at is adaptability and resilience. And here, when we are speaking about resilience, team, and other people think resilience is a simple term, but other people think it's too complicated. I'm in the middle because when it comes to resilience, what we really have to remember is that since we said the only thing that is constant is change in this life, when it comes to resilience, what we are talking about here is that when the challenges come, when COVID came, when you got a new manager, when you got a new boss, when you didn't have money for the transport to go to work, when you had all of these challenges and you were even having the personal challenges, how long did it take for you to bounce back from those challenges? Did it take you 5 seconds to bounce back from the challenge? Did it take you 5 minutes? Did it take you 5 months? Or are you the type of person whereby 5 years later, you are still saying, that teacher that said to me when I was 5 years, you know that teacher, that I was 5 years and that teacher said, I don't see you being this, and I mean, we are here, right? That's all what resilience is all about. That there are people who are still holding on to what happened 25 years ago and they haven't bounced back. So these are the critical skills when it comes to us being able to be future focused and actually getting into the point whereby with the opportunities being on the other side, we can always take them on. The second part, managing work. Here, the skills that are very, very, very important. And I'm sure, especially with this conference, I'm so glad I got to experience this the conference because, wow, I think the topic, everything, tradition, meeting, it's literally everything, right? Because we can't shy away from the fact that we need to work. But what we also know, what's constant is change. So how we do things is changing. And that's why now in Track 2, they're talking about technology and innovation as well. So team, because of the fact that how we are working is changing, when it comes to the skills and competencies that we are looking at there is dependability, and it is also technological competence. So what I would like to offer for you here to consider is the fact that yes, other people are passionate about AI and everything, and it's very important. And other people are thinking, "Oh, should I be learning to code now?" And you know, there are a lot of things. Should I go into ESG? Should I? There's a lot, and that's why you are here, and I admire that. But what I would like to offer is that when it comes to us being human beings, and at the core of where we are, is that we'll always be human beings. So as and when we are looking at what are the top skills in order for us to be able to manage our work more efficiently, I want you to start thinking about how I'm showing up for myself. Am I in a state whereby I can fully depend on myself? And how I'm showing up for my team or for my family, is it in such a manner that they can always depend on me? And the reason why I'm saying that is that one of the most critical things when it comes to building self-esteem has to do with how you show up for yourself, right? So when it comes to us and our relationship with work, dependability is literally that critical skill that everyone is literally looking at, because the opportunity doesn't want to bring you in when we know you won't be able to show up, right? And the last thing I'm going to offer for your consideration here is that when it comes to technological competence, how I see it as being simplified is that literally every single day, every single thing that I'm doing, I'm always asking myself, how can I do this 2 times faster? Is there a Zanele 2.0 that is more half Zanele, half machine, almost 50% of the things automated? You know what I mean? Like, it goes as the simple things as even in your own house. How are you automating everything so that it's giving you space to think more critically? Because yes, we know when it comes to the reports from the World Economic Forum and all these other nice and very fancy reports with the fancy weightings, yes, we talk about problem solving and all of these things. But then at the core of it all is that if we want to have the capability to manage our work, we need to be in a position whereby we are carving out time to be able to think more clearly. And that means this technology that we are embracing, if we can be a lot more efficient and a lot more effective, then we do get to a point whereby we are having more time to think more clearly and be able to even actually manage our work better. So the last one, team, as part of this last section that we are talking about, is more about working with others. What are some of the skills and competencies that we need to be looking at? It is so simple, right? Teamwork, interpersonal communication skills. It's literally the simplest thing. And one of the studies that came out at the beginning of the year from LinkedIn, communication skills was literally part of the top 5 of what the employers are currently seeking in 2024 and beyond, right? So team, when it comes to relating to others here, I just want us to remember that at the end, yes, we might be having the technology where we are having 5 self-checkouts and maybe it's the only one person who's running the entire retail shop. But then at the same time, we can't shy away from the fact that we are not islands, right? It might not be the person that we are working with, but it might be the person where you are staying that can open up doors for your next opportunity, right? So wherever we are going, there'll always be other people. So let's start thinking about how are we interacting with all of these people. And when it comes to communication, remember, we don't only isolate it to either verbal or written, but it goes beyond when it comes to nonverbal as well. Right? There are other people who even provide opportunities just because they say, oh, this person is always inviting and I love talking to them. And as a result, there is your next opportunity. So let's be mindful of these skills and competencies that we should be honing as and when we are moving forward. So team, in closing, as I did mention, what really keeps me up at night is that child that is being born in the rural areas today, as we are speaking here, 20 years later, 50 years later, will they be in a position whereby they have adequate skills and the path has been forged for them, and the programs that they're joining, for example, the program that they're joining at Novalo, will it equip them so that the world that they're living in, they will always feel like they are relevant for the changing world? That's literally what keeps me up at night. And I hope through our discussion where we said, currently our focus at Novalo is literally to ensure that with the students, the young professionals and the professionals that we are working with, we just have to really make sure that as and when they are honing these skills that are needed to be future focused. They are able to lead themselves, manage their work, and also be able to relate with others effectively. So thank you very much for giving me your time today. And remember, the only thing that is constant is change. I might come back 5 years later and tell you about the other skills, but I hope because we tackled the foundation, this will enable us, and I'm looking forward to hearing your insights as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zanele. We'll just open up for a few questions. So we're only going to take 2 questions. I'm so sorry, because we're going to have to head back to the main plenary. So if there's any questions for Zanele.
Thanks, Zanele, for an insightful presentation. My name is Mankeko. So my question is more about how will you go about giving guidance to a young professional who is currently struggling, showing up some of the skills that you have shared with us?
How
will you go about guiding a young professional that is currently struggling to show the skills that you have shared with us?
Great question. How you go about guiding a young professional who's struggling with exactly that is by appreciating the fact that when it comes to resilience, because most people, they struggle with the skills mainly because they don't have resilience, right? It's about appreciating the fact that resilience it's twofold. How a person is approaching life and the challenges and how they're handling the skills that they have to learn now, it has a lot to do with their childhood, because when it comes to resilience, it literally starts with the childhood. So I'd say as a manager, as a parent, it would be great to get into really understanding the factors that have led them to not be as resilient, and even online taking some of the tests so that you can see where are their resilience levels, and in you really getting to understand them on that intimate level, then you can be able to guide them further and say, okay, from this space here on, then here's a short course for this, or, here's how you can develop yourself. I hope that answers you. Awesome.
Hi, good day. Can you hear me? So my question is all about teamwork. In my environment where I work, we had a lot of changes in terms of management, middle management, new team members. How would you approach making the team work? It's people that are already at professional level with many years experience, multiple diverse backgrounds. How do we get to a point where we work now as a cohesive new team? Thank you.
Lovely question. Lovely question. How we get to a point whereby we can instill the sense of teamwork, especially with change currently relevant, I would say there are 3 different stages when it comes to the team forming. I know there's the storming, norming, and forming stage. So it starts with us having the appreciation of the fact that we are all from different households, right? So since we are all from different households, all from different experiences, it's deemed to have all of this conflict, right? So because this conflict, fortunately or unfortunately, might last for some time, then it gets to a point whereby if the management and the leadership is not taking it on to have a swift change management process, then sometimes it might be within your own corner where you're saying, myself as the supervisor or the manager, how am I actually having this little environment whereby at least my juniors are feeling the psychological safety? Because in us building great teamwork, it's all about ensuring that there's psychological safety, and there are easy things that you can do to ensure that people have the psychological safety and they are able to step forward and work in a team. For example, in a simple meeting, are you asking them their thoughts, on something? For one of the things we've implemented at Novalo Learning Center, because the interns, we felt like, okay, maybe they might not be in a stage whereby they are feeling psychologically safe and being team members, is that we've introduced as part of our check-in meetings discussing current affairs. So just by spending about 5 to 10 minutes talking about what are the current affairs and what do you think about them, then people are starting to feel safer. And through people feeling safer and having discussions where they are finding common ground, then slowly but surely we start to find each other, and hopefully management can also do something with change management. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Zanele.
Thank you.
Well done on a good presentation. I think very charismatic leader, passionate of what you're doing, and we've seen that today. A little token of appreciation from our side, just to say thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Invite me again.
Yes, for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings the end of the day for track 3. Let's all head back to the main plenary. Thank you so much. Hello. Somebody's forgot their phone here. There's a phone somebody has left behind, so please come see me, whoever it is. If they don't, I'll sell it.